honestly, the act of the protective style of covering your hair with a wig has always meant that. We've honestly been taught to embody beauty as now a weakness instead of part of our feminine strength. Just because you like a scent don't mean it's gonna work with your body. Our rituals for beauty were meant to empower us. It was meant to align us with femininity and their divine gods at the time. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm gonna go through my beauty maintenance routine with you guys from the top. Well, kind of from the top. I already have on lashes. Nails are already on, but I'll give y'all the information on those things so you can get them if you want to, while we discuss the history of beauty maintenance and why we innately do what we do and how that's actually gotten lost. Like, the plot has gotten lost over time. So we're gonna get into that right now. The cleanser I'm using today is from Butter. I believe it is a Black-owned brand. It is a very gentle cleanser. I like this as my everyday cleanser. If I feel like my skin is getting a little like extra as far as getting real oily, I'll use something a little more intense, but on average I really do like this. So anyways, let's get into talking about beauty maintenance and the history of it and why we do what we do, especially as Black women. I've been really into understanding like the queens of like ancient Egypt at the moment, and I'll expand farther. That's just where I'm at the moment, because of their ability to balance their care for beauty and being revered for that, as well as being revered for their intellect and leadership skills as well. Something we've lost the art of in the age of patriarchy. For us in historic modern times, we have learned to view beauty maintenance as basically like our seek for validation from men.
And for those 3 hours she spent getting ready, she only thought about one thing.
A way of showing that you were superficial and you lack intellect. Because apparently we can only care about beauty or brains. You can't be both. It's been etched in our brains and indoctrinated in us for years that, you know, you have to lack morally, you have to lack mentally if you don't lack outwardly. And that lack outwardly or abundance outwardly is all through, at this point, the male gaze, and that's a whole nother topic. We've honestly been taught to embody beauty as now a weakness instead of part of our feminine strength. And just to be clear, at least back in ancient Egypt times, and I'm sure it probably spread throughout other African country traditions, but we were very big on grooming and maintenance. We like to keep it clean. We like to keep it cute. That is a part of how we roll. But today I was speaking on how that affects us as women and where that comes from for us. The next product I'm using here is glycolic acid. This is basically a chemical exfoliant. Not something you want to use every day. I probably use it a good once a week or maybe every other day, just depending on how my routine is going. But glycolic acid helps to keep your skin looking real smooth and poreless.
Y'all, why am I just now realizing that this is not hyaluronic acid that Good Molecules sent me? It's an oil-free moisturizer. I never paid attention.
But anyways, getting back into our topic, in an era where we are at large, in the large scale of time of human evolution, getting out of a predominantly patriarchal society and moving into finding more gender neutrality. No, it seems like it's going slow, and it is, but like, it's still happening. So I'm speaking on that. It is a great time for us to talk about what that looked like in ancient times before this became ingrained for us as Black women. Just so y'all are aware, I do use these two serums, but today I am going to use the Lancome Triple Serum. I've been talking about this one. Is it gonna focus? Come on, focus. No, there we go. I've been using this for some years. If you've been following me, at least on Instagram for a while, you've seen me even do ads with them. That's how I first tried it. But yeah, this is like my go-to serum. If you're a person who doesn't like to wear makeup and just likes to have really good skin, this gives you a great skin look. I mean, it's your skin, but like, it just makes your skin look amazing on its own. I skipped a step, I forgot to mask. When beauty became a thing of outward validation instead of inward, that's where we started losing the plot. That's where we started living through our egos and our rituals started being used against us. The mask I'm using is the Clarins facial wrap mask. I love this mask so much. Again, if you are a non-makeup wearing person, this is a great mask to have because it just makes your skin look amazing after like one use. It just does wonders. But anyways, our rituals for beauty were meant to empower us. It was meant to align us with femininity and their divine gods at the time. And honestly, the innate doing of maintenance, you can make it good or bad because it's just subjective. It's the energy behind it. It's the mindset behind it. For instance, what I'm doing right now, you could be doing it for validation outwardly. You could be doing it for your own internal benefit. It could go either way, but same action, same functioning. Not to mention capitalism plays a huge part in that. They started playing off of our insecurities at the rise of the male gaze within modern media through like digital picture, and then you had motion picture magazines, stuff like that. No. When that came up the rise, because men were in control of it, you are innately seeing yourself as a woman through the eyes of men. And that's it. So then you start to see yourself that way, as if that's the value scale for you as an entirety and not just a piece. You want to be attractive, you got to do this, you got to buy that, got to, buy this, that, and the third. It was a ploy to get more money out of us by using fear mongering. It really is a marketing tactic. It became less about alignment in your own, authorization, if you will, of self, using your body as a canvas to convey who you are. And it became about, how do I use my body as a canvas to garner attention? And honestly, also to show that you were rich or poor. By European standards, their paleness was a thing because historically it meant that if you were pale, you weren't outside in the sun working, which means you had the money to not have to be outside working and be a part of the working class. If you had a tan, that means you was working outdoors. That only started to change around the 1920s with Coco Chanel because she got a sunburn from laying on the beach. Literally, they wanted to be porcelain white until Coco Chanel got a sunburn from laying leisurely on the beach. Then that became the thing of working in factories was more inside. So if you were pale, it was now a symbolism of you being poor. Now your tan is a signification of your richness and your hierarchy. So as you can see here, the plot got lost. When we roll it back to the times of ancient Egypt, the whole beautification process was about balancing the seen and unseen. Yes, I can mentally value myself, but how can I convey that to others around me of how I view myself outwardly? Well, I can take care of myself. If I'm taking care of myself, it's signifying that I value myself. And honestly, that's like early psychology because it signifies to others that they need to value you too. Because how you treat yourself is the standard of how others are going to treat you. It was also about protecting yourself too from the climates. When we talk ancient Egypt, you're talking about desert land, okay? It's real hot. They got to protect themselves. They're trying to protect their skin. And so they're using oils. They're using coal and things of that nature to help protect parts of their body that are not necessarily covered. But as you can see, it all goes back to reverencing your being, protecting your temple. Your self-maintenance, your grooming, your beauty care acknowledged your competence. And it still does signify that to this day. When you see somebody that's well put together, look like they take care of themselves, whether they're wearing a ton of makeup, no makeup, fancy clothes, chill clothes, whatever. If you're conveying through how you present yourself that you value yourself, other people, again, are going to treat you that way. Or at least going to see you in that same light. Back then, beauty work was energy work. The mindset you were in, as we talked about before, really does matter as to why you're doing what you're doing. They were empowering themselves. A lot of cosmetics aligned themselves to feminine goddesses that they revered. Hathor, goddess of love and beauty, and then you had Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood. That's who they were thinking of, aligning themselves and being like in those moments where they were doing their beauty maintenance. It was about a mindset of empowerment, not a mindset of subservient behavior and validation. They use their beauty rituals to convey confidence, fertility, femininity, intellect, and power. I'm gonna use the L'Oreal Duo serum this time, if it will focus. I'm gonna use this one this time just because I showed y'all the other one when I accidentally did that first. So I want to show y'all some of my favorite moisturizers that I do like to use personally. No capitalism. But this is one that I have recently tried over the past couple months. It is from Shea Moisture, and it is their Nourish and Radiant Night Repair Cream. This really gets up in the skin. As you can see, I have used most of this up because it's such a good product. It's not the one I'm going to use because it's daytime, but if it were night, I would probably use some of this, scrape the sides, get some of this out. Personally, I'm a big Rock skincare moisturizer fan because this has retinol in it. I've done videos on TikTok when I went to the Bahamas and my skin got super dehydrated and dry and crusty. I went in using this daily and it helped get that radiance and plump back in my skin. CeraVe PM moisturizer. This is very moisturizing, but also still lightweight, but gets up in the skin. Now they do have an AM one. This one is SPF 50. I really like it because I love CeraVe as a moisturizer and just as products in general. I use their hair stuff, everything. The Revitalift from L'Oreal, they did send this to me and it has 30 SPF, so not as high as the CeraVe, but it is very moisturizing. And make sure when you're doing your skincare, you get your neck too. That's a sign you can miss as far as you take care of your skin. Now let's get into the wigs. Ironically, my U part is absolutely giving ancient Egypt. That was not on purpose, but it tracks. Wigs, the way we see them today as showing that we are less than, or we hate ourselves, or we're not valuable, is not innately what it has ever meant. Honestly, for any culture, but specifically talking about Black culture through the form of ancient Egypt, wigs were a form of power and honestly self-respect. It was an early form of self-expression. It had everything to do with art form through the body and really nothing to do with feeling less than to any other race. Race wasn't even a thing at that time. Honestly, the act of the protective style of covering your hair with a wig has always meant that for us through ancient Egyptian culture. So as much as people would like to tell you that's not what you're doing, it actually is what you're doing if you're doing it right. I'm using the Hyaluronic Plump Leave-In Serum from L'Oreal. They sent this to me recently and I really like this. And then to seal, I've been using this Laid oil. It is Hello Silk from them. And I like this because it does have a lot of jojoba oil in it. Jojoba very much mimics the natural sebum oil in your hair. Now, I just recently started wearing this U part, so I don't be too worried about putting my hair in a ponytail for this. But if I were to keep wearing this hairstyle for a long time, I'm unsure what I want to do next yet, then I would just braid my hair down so I don't have to keep putting it in this low pony and potentially cause breakage. This U part is one that I've gotten from Love Me Hair. They sent it to me back in I want to say 2021. I'll link the video I originally did of this hair back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean 3 years ago. This does well if you have a relaxer in, but if you don't, I would go with a different texture than this. They may not have had all of the technical conditioners and things that we have, but they would condition their hair with oils, and that was to protect their hair from the harsh, hot dryness of the desert conditions. Down to the fact that they had braids and twists going on underneath their wigs lets you know history been repeating itself. We've been doing what we do. To show you your wig ain't the problem, how you caring for your hair is. And this edge, I'm just finna put some more of the gummy edge control on it. If you've never used the gummy edge control, you should. I have terrible luck with edge control, and this is the only one that be doing me justice.
Y'all see how these edges is slicking? I can actually do designs with my edges. To know me on this channel, if you've been following me since I've been doing wigs, I have the hairline of an unplucked frontal. I'm Texlaxed. And honestly, if I didn't tell people, they would never know. That is how thick my hair is in strand and diameter. Even a relaxer can't fight back for real. But that just goes to show y'all, I'm putting you on with this gummy wax edge control. It's the best one I've ever had. I don't use edge controls. Edge controls, my hair fights back. This one wins. It's the only edge control I've ever had that wins. And it goes to show you too, whether you got natural hair or a Texlax or a relaxer, this will have your edges laminated. I need to cut this actually a little bit shorter because it do this thing when you're sitting on my shoulders and it start bowing out. I need to either do a flip or cut it just a tad shorter.
I know I did my lashes on my own, but if anyone was wondering, I did cut up the royal silk. How funny, since we're talking about ancient Egypt. I just cut them up and made them my own individuals from Kiss. You can find them at the drugstore, or I'll just link it down below if you don't want to have to go get it. I'll put it for you. Now, I'm getting ready for work, obviously, so we're going to do my glam while we get into the topic of glam and where historically that has came from as far as ancient Egypt. I'm using my Lancome primer today. It's a hydrating primer and it's supposed to help hold your makeup for I think up to 24 hours. For the women of that time period, makeup was not just a routine, it was a ritual. It was a ritual to help put yourself in the mindset of power and purpose. Cosmetics historically were used for spiritual and medicinal purposes. Every color and mineral and oil and everything that they use, it had a reasoning and a meaning behind it for them. Both men and women in that time period heavily used cosmetics because it wasn't just innately a feminine thing. It was also a way to protect yourself as well from the elements. For example, things like eyeliner. They used kohl back then. Kohl eyeliner was used to spiritually protect them from what was called evil eye, but also it was made to help protect their eyes from the sun and also from the bugs and things that were in the atmosphere. Even the almond shape that Egypt is known for has representation for why they do it. It symbolized the eye of Horus, which represented health, power, and spiritual sight. See how it was never about finding validation in the sight of men as a woman? The goal was to be a canvas symbolizing the balance of celestial and earthly energy. It wasn't just something to do, it was a symbolism of their belief. The red that they used for their blush and for their lip stain, and also even the way that they would stain their nails, it was all forms of symbolism. They didn't want to look good for men, they wanted to look good for the gods. They wanted to feel worthy. It made them feel aligned with a higher power. With the rise of patriarchy, women doing these things that meant a symbolism of power started to become a symbolism of being good enough for men. And not even just innately for the male gaze. There was a point where women weren't even that indoctrinated into what men truly felt about them, but more so, you needed a man to survive, so you got to be attracted to him so he'll pick you so you can actually live and survive and have a home and have food and all of these things because you can't get your own bank account. Y'all watched that last season of Bridgerton? The mom nor the girls could keep their estate property without finding a man of value to put it in his name. Ancient Egyptian queens were using beauty as a way to use it as a psychology tactic to shift perspective and command attention and command respect. Ancient Egyptian queens understood the power of your looks as a woman and how you can use that for dominance. They understood that to look radiant was going to radiate that energy, and that to look composed above the average projected that they were powerful. So if you look like you respect yourself at a high level, people are gonna treat you like you respect yourself at a high level. And they understood that even thousands of years ago. It wasn't a people-pleasing tactic. It was a way to proclaim that you were her. But over thousands of years, we've been stripped of knowing that this was a power tactic for us. And we've been made to feel like it was something to convey that you were less than, that you weren't powerful, that you weren't smart, that you weren't a leader. You were just a dumb, ditzy, pretty girl. And that's not the case. That's what they want you to think to keep you out of your sense of power. And although I'm not against makeup, I will say I do even understand why some people would opt out of it. The society we've lived in for a very long period of time now has been this notion about it. So why would you want to uplift yourself in something that conveys to people now that you don't find yourself valuable? You're trying to hide, not proclaim. You're trying to cover something up or alternate your face to look better than what you actually look. You don't believe in yourself. You don't like yourself. That's all the things it starts to say now. I really can't even stand when I hear other women talk about how they want to dress or how they want to look or how they want to do their face and or don't do their face, and it comes back to validating themselves with men. Girl, do you. Do what you want to do. This is the Cooling Jelly Tint from Milk. And it goes back to, is this about proclamation or validation? That really makes the difference on why you do what you do. I'm gonna lock it all in real quick with my Fit Me in 330 toffee. Not too much because I don't want to lose the shine, but I am an oily girl and I do gotta go to work. And I'm gonna finish it off with the Milk Setting Spray. We cannot finish out a beauty maintenance routine without some fragrance. We have got Beach Walk here from Margiela, as well as Angel Nova here from Mugler. I like to layer these together. And even the act of layering fragrances to create your own signature scent is ancient and historic. Part of Cleopatra's leadership tactics was her scent. She wanted to make sure you smelled her before you seen her. One of the biggest things she's known for in her leadership tactics was putting a bunch of perfume oil on her ship's sails so that the wind could carry it to let the people know she was coming. She let Mark Anthony know she was coming. He couldn't even see her across the horizon yet. She was coming though, you smelt her. And that is what we call sillage to like the 20th power. Then historically back then was to embody and align yourself with godly likeness. It was to reverence your own inner holiness within your presence. Fragrance was used as a tool to soften defense and seduce attention. Fragrance was a way to say I'm her, essentially, without ever having to say I'm her. They understood the power of fragrance even then because fragrance triggers emotion and memory. That's why brands like even Replica from Margiela, their whole marketing for their perfumes is all about evoking memory. They make this smell like you are walking on the beach. They evoke all of that emotion from you as if you are there right now just through scent. And even back then they were layering. They didn't just stop at cinnamon oil or the scent of a lotus. No, it's gonna get layered, and it was gonna get layered in a combination that smelled the best on you. And you can embody that today, obviously a whole lot easier than they could. Just because you like a scent don't mean it's gonna work with your body. The reason I even chose this matchup for today is not because I just inherently love the scent together, but it's because it works well on me together. It smells like competence. The freshness of the Beach Walk mixed with the aroma and the fruitiness that is within, and the flowery notes that are within the Angel Nova, they work together to make me smell like a fresh shower, and it permeates. I got in the car with my sister after trying this the first time I did it, and she thought within the 5 minutes we went in the house and left that I had taken a whole nother shower. She's like, it's not that you smell like anything, it's just like you smell like freshness. And that's the emotion I want to evoke from people when I'm interacting with them, is that she likes herself. She's confident in herself. She respects and adores and takes care of herself. And if she's respecting herself, there's no way she's gonna let me disrespect her. Well, I'm done now. So drop a comment down below. Let me know, how do you do your beauty maintenance? And do you feel like you do it from a place of self-proclamation, or do you feel like it's for validation? And how do you plan on moving forward?